firm believer that Africa can only be developed by Africans. So it's a false belief if we think that someone else will come and develop Africa. There is no free lunch. I must say, before I went to Nigeria, I was thinking, this must be a diplomat by accident. Because I'm a practical person. We did a little bit of theorizing in school and at work as civil servants, but now going to Nigeria as a diplomat, you have to behave like a diplomat and you have to work like a diplomat. And the first challenge was Nigeria was too much at heart. And therefore there was a little bit of biasness. That I was going to Nigeria, was I going to represent Namibia in Nigeria, or I was going to be on the side of Nigeria, because that is my second country as well. I grew up there, I got trained there in secondary school. But yes, I took up the challenge, and looking at the background of the relationship between the two countries, and looking at the trade, activities between the two countries, I then thought, well, I take off from where my predecessors left off, and I must improve, and I must intensify the relationship, take it to the highest level, and also make sure that the intra-Africa trade is reaching the higher levels as well. The first year basically was acclimatization, knowing about the country's economic situation. The tides have changed, the situation has changed. I was in Nigeria from 1975 to 1978, and now you are coming back to the country, although I visited it in between from 2006 to 2012, or in 2013, July. But now, here I am as a diplomat. You need to act responsibly and decisively and according to the market and the economic situation. But I must say, I found a very dedicated team in Namibian mission, and I also found, interested people from the side of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Nigeria and all other institutions of Nigeria, which I got, acquainted with and got involved with. I must say, throughout my stay in Nigeria, I'm satisfied, extremely satisfied that our relationship, our diplomatic relationship, are at the highest level. Although we did not have a lot of VIP visits between the two countries, but yes, 2014, we had the former President Goodluck Jonathan visiting Namibia, albeit for a short period. And then we had former President Pohamba visiting Nigeria to attend the amalgamation of Nigeria, the 100th anniversary of the amalgamation of Nigeria, 2014. And we also had President Geingob visiting Nigeria 2 times. Although all these visits were not state visits, they were very important. They took place during my stay in office there. And therefore, I think they contributed very much in elevating also the relationship between the two. Although we are saying Nigeria is not a stranger to the history of Namibia. Nigeria has immensely contributed to the liberation of this country. Nigeria declared itself and joined, albeit the distance, the frontline states, which helped to liberate Namibia. So material support, financial support, and moral support was rendered to the people of Namibia, led by SWAPO. And a lot of young Namibians, led by SWAPO, or under the umbrella of SWAPO, were trained in Nigeria from the 60s. The first group consists of the current Speaker of our National Assembly, Dr. Kachavivi, and the others. And I think, if I'm well informed, is that their group was only, and their stay in Nigeria was only disrupted by the outbreak of the Civil War. So otherwise they could have stayed and finished. Now the second group is that of 1975. That includes me. That group was to arrive in Nigeria in July, but we all know what happened in 1975 July. There was a removal of the military head of state, and then we had to go back to the bush. But after a few months, 3 months or so, from July, I think it was September, then that leadership under General Murtala Mohammed, may his soul rest in peace, and his deputy General Obasanjo, they then said, no, the children must come. So that's how we managed now to revive the trip to go to Nigeria, and we finished our secondary school there. Why going to Nigeria to do our secondary school? It was not just about the armed liberation struggle. We could have liberated Namibia, all of us. We could have died, all of us. Then who was going to rule the country? So therefore, the leadership of SWAPO then thought it wise that while some were fighting, engaging the apartheid soldiers with arms, others should go and prepare themselves to take over the administration of the country after liberation. And this is how some of us who happen to have basic secondary background education were sent now to Nigeria and other West African countries, Sierra Leone, the Gambia, up to Senegal, Cameroon, Ghana, to do secondary school. And some of those who completed their secondary school happened to continue at the tertiary level as well. But I myself, the first group that finished 1978, I went to continue my tertiary education in Germany. And that's where I did my studies, and I also then did my doctorate there, only to come back to a free Namibia. So I must say, I'm extremely happy, and I feel that I fulfilled my mission by maintaining and elevating the diplomatic relationship further. When it came to trade, we are, when I left the mission, I said, we are, both countries, we are ready. We are ready to trade, and we have been trading. As I said, it was during my tenure that we got corned beef into Nigeria, and it is still in Nigeria. It was during my tenure that we started also selling some very useful hardware that were used to the armed groups of Nigeria, armed forces, whether it was prisons or police or whatever, but these things were very useful. And I think those are the ones that actually increased the trade volume in terms of dollars between the two countries.
aniyoyo tulikidempo. Aniyoyo, aniyoyo tulikidempo.
The biggest lesson that I have learned is diplomatic work is a very complicated work. It's not straightforward. If I have to be open, it's not always when you say yes, it's yes. And it's not always when you say no, it's a no. So it's always you read the environment and you operate and you decide according to the dictate of the environment, in order not to upset the host country, in order not to embarrass the sending or the represented country, and in order for you to create an environment to work under. Because if you upset the people that you are engaging, then you will not get the service. And I can tell you the difficult thing is that where diplomats do not work, it's when we have got a VIP movement above our thing, the skies. You cannot dictate when the president has to travel. There is an agent visit to a country in Europe. The head of state from SADC, like ours, has to overfly Nigeria, has to overfly Cameroon, have to overfly Chad, which were covered by then. But by the way, before, when I arrived in Nigeria, I was covering the whole ECOWAS, 16 countries. And now, how do you get the overflight and landing rights from those countries when you don't have the logistical support in those countries, except the embassies that are based in Abuja, if there are. But lucky enough, also the ECOWAS countries were represented in Abuja. That is the biggest headache. Now you get, a request. The president is leaving in 2 hours' time, because it is an agent thing. Now, that is difficult now to get some countries. It's the president of the head of state of that country that approves the movement of the other head of state. How do you dictate to that other so that my president is leaving in 2 hours, I need the permit? Yes, and every 20 minutes you get a call from home. Did you get it? Yeah, so that is the headache, of a diplomat as head of mission. So the other one, that means when you get a request and these things are reciprocal, you also have to do the same. And I'll tell you the funny thing, and please, it should be understood, in the context that I'm talking about. When this problem of requesting overflight and landing rights become a problem for us, we, with the understanding of my colleague, or my counterpart from Cameroon, we decided why not applying for the annual coverage, whereby you can only give notice at 24 hours, 48 hours. Because they said you cannot decide, you cannot determine when the president is traveling, because the invitation can come anytime. Or there are also maintenance flights of the presidential aircraft, to other countries that they have to fly over, the country that you actually serving it. Now we said, why not having an annual thing? So we did that, and I applied for the annual, permit, and my colleague gave me that one immediately. And then we also advised Cameroon to do the same, and then they did. Chad, which we are also covering now, after November 2015, we had new missions in Accra and Dakar, which took over the other ECOWAS countries, and I only retained Cameroon and Chad. But when he came to Nigeria, we all know that President Buhari flies Nigerian Air Force. Now, Nigerian Air Force is a military, aircraft, and the military aircraft are not covered by some of this agreement. So, instead of our people granting the reciprocal permit, they say, no, it's a military aircraft. So, that understanding actually messes up the relationship, not the relationship, but the speedy issuing of the landing and overflight permit for our own head of state. Wow. Because we could not reciprocate, because the officials thought it's a military aircraft. This is the understanding I'm saying. As a diplomat, you are now saying, please, my head of state need to fly. And if I don't get that permit, the head of state cannot leave sometimes. Cannot leave the base, but is needed there on time. But then this one is saying, yes, it's a reciprocal, though we are friends. Please, you must also give us that annual permit. And then the officials on the ground, they are saying, no, these are military aircraft, so we are not going to. So this is the thing, you are caught in the middle as a diplomat. So these are the good lessons that, you have to cultivate professional and personal relationship with the people that you are, encountering or engaging. Otherwise, you fail as a diplomat. And when you fail as a diplomat, each time the head of state, flies into your country, you know that there's an empty seat in the aircraft. So if you are not doing your job here, that empty seats need a passenger, and that will be you.
From the stables of the publishers Echoes Africa magazine comes your favorite TV show, Echoes from the Valley. African story like you've never seen it.
So many of these folks, they see Africa as just one country.
And the woman came to me and she goes, so what color is the flag? I said, what flag? She said, the flag of Africa. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, do I now educate this woman, or do I just tell her and move on?
Recorded in locations across Africa and diaspora, it is Africa from African perspective.
As governments, as individuals, we have got to tell our stories.
What is your African story? What is your origin and the history? What makes your culture and tradition unique? What are your milestones? Echoes from the Valley. For participation, please call the numbers on your screen. Echoes from the Valley, telling the African story.
So this is the lesson that a diplomat learns. Cultivate a good and professional relationship with your counterparts so that you can get the services that you want. But again, we are human beings. We make errors, and our officials on the ground, they make a lot of errors. I remember when our president visited Nigeria in July, he was making a point that our officials on the ground, they are messing up the situation for us. So I'm not quoting any words that he said, but that is a summing up why. He himself, as the head of state in Namibia, says all African citizens, they are welcome to Namibia. But the officials on the ground, every passenger that lands at the international airport is an illegal immigrant. But here, the country and the head of state is saying, you are all welcome. Now, how do you treat the situation when the official has said, no, you are not welcome? So that is the thing. And you now arrive with your goods, and the custom officials are suspecting you that you are an illegal smuggler. Yeah, so we need to work on these things that we should listen to our leaders when they are talking. It is not the leaders that do the work on the ground. The leaders speak, we formulate policies and the regulations around them. And if we need the constitutions or whatever to be changed, it is not for the head of state to do it. They only speak. And once they speak, it is for us to take what they have said and translate those ones into policies and try to implement. And that is the only way I'm saying we can develop Africa, but if we keep on suspecting each other, and if we keep on branding each other as illegal immigrants or criminals and whatever, forget about Africa developing itself. Yeah. You can ask me 20 years from now if I'm still alive, that will not happen. But if we start changing, applying professionalism to these issues and say, yes, look at the person who is traveling as that person, as that individual, but not as a country or not as people. If the person has done something wrong, look at the issue, its merits, and address that issue. But then don't say because the person is from Namibia, all Namibians are criminals. That is not fair. Yeah. And if you find someone who is smuggling, then everybody is a criminal. I must ask myself, which country in this world is 100% holy? Which country? Namibia is a very dry country, as we know, and we have the rainy season that starts in around this time, actually end of September, but that's just the first drops. It's not the rain that actually enables us to cultivate the soil, but the earnest rainy season starts around November, December, January. That's when we start now cultivating, and around April, the first week of April, second week of April, or end of March, rain stops. Now the harvest is around May, June. Now between that period and then the rainy season again, there is a gap. That is the drought period. And this is where the rural people specifically become vulnerable, and the government has made it a point that they intervene and they give a drought relief to the people. And this is where I'm saying my duty now is to contribute for Nigeria to be continuing to contribute to this bridging of the gap between the harvesting time and then the cultivation time. As Nigeria did it again in the year 2014, 2015, when it was the only country in the world that assisted Namibia of drought relief. Again, it was during my time in the office, and I'm very proud of that. The only country in the world that assisted Namibia for that. So we want to continue that culture of helping one another. And as I have been saying, always been saying, I'm a firm believer that Africa can only be developed by Africans. So it's a false belief if we think that someone else will come and develop Africa. There is no free lunch. Anybody coming here will come with conditions. Although they come as friends, they pose as friends, and they act as friends. The real action, they are not friends. They are business people. They are, if we have to go to the extreme, they are exploiters in a different way. Yeah, I don't want to use other words, that are used by politicians, but that is the issue, and therefore I think that if Africans can help one another to develop their countries, that is the best for us, because we don't need to exploit each other as Africans. We only need to help each other. And Africa is endowed with a lot of resources, human and natural. But our resources are not utilized to the benefit of Africa. They are taken out of the ground or above the ground, and then they are processed somewhere else, and they come back as processed goods. But for how long?
But whose fault is that?
Our fault. It is our fault. No finger pointing, but it is our fault, Africa's fault. Why should we? What do we lack? We have the brains. We have trained people. And we understand what we want, but we fail to implement what we have, decided not to do. And sometimes I'm not well understood. You think that I'm speaking big science, but very simple science when I say there is no point of telling the people that you want to achieve ABCD. There is no point of promising the people that the country is going to be AYB at a certain level in certain years, because all those promises are not accompanied by own ideology, indigenous ideology. It's the ideology of saying, I would like to see my country 2030 reaching this level. When you do that, you then have to internalize this thing and say, how do I achieve that?